Hello and welcome to the Soulful Mamas podcast. You're with your host Maria, and thanks for joining me today. It's a Maria Musings day, and I'm basically going to riff just a little bit about on what is happening right now in this current time, January. What are we today? 23rd of January. It's 2025, and just talking about the energy of this current time, what's going on, and how we can work with that. So the sun has just moved into the zodiac sign of Aquarius, so we're in a completely different sort of energy to Capricorn, and you may already be feeling that shift. And coming up in a few days, in a week, actually. In a week, it will be the new moon, the first new moon of 2025, which makes it quite potent and a really good time for manifesting. And of course, that also aligns with Chinese astrology, moving from the year of the wood dragon into the year of the snake, which is also a wood snake. This year, and last year it's the element of wood that is associated with the animal. And I'm pretty sure that's to do with when a year ends with a 4 or 5, it is the element of wood that is associated with it. Just some FYI, little fact for you there. So we're moving into that year of the snake, and of course we know the energy of the snake. And if you think of transformation and change and shedding, releasing of old layers, things that no longer serve us, and this is us individually and as a collective, and doesn't it feel like that is absolutely going to be happening this year? It already is. There's this change happening, shedding happening. But when a snake does actually do this in the physical act of shedding its skin, it's not a really fast, quick process. There's calculations involved. So there's a bit of introspection, a little bit of reflection, a bit of time using its wisdom and knowledge to know the next step. It's calculated, and then it can go through the process, and it will get there. But it's not a quick thing. So, maybe that's a good thing if we each hold that whatever it is that we're moving into or changing or birthing, trust that it's going to unfold as it will. It's the divine plan. It will happen. And we just have to go through that process of, making sure that maybe the T's are crossed and I's dotted, and then it will get there as in a more smooth and seamless way. And so there's that. And then also on the 2nd of February, for us in the Southern Hemisphere, we are moving into the Celtic festival of Lughnasadh, which marks the midway point between summer solstice and autumn equinox. So for those of you in the north, it's the opposite. You're actually moving into Imbolc, which is, again, your halfway point between the winter solstice and spring equinox. So for both, it's this midway point, and it's that shift. So for us down here, down under, is that it's celebrating the beginning of that true harvest season. And we're harvesting, in old times, it'd be harvesting the grains and the wheats and the corn, and really, and here in New Zealand it would have been the kumara and the foods that they can store in order to get the people through winter. And for us nowadays we still do that, but it's not life or death type thing. We don't all live as closely to the land and have that complete dependency on it in the same way, and therefore the same relationship with her. And this is the disconnect that has been for the last however many hundreds of years. And slowly, that awareness, that awakening of knowing that we are all connected, and knowing that our beautiful Mother Earth is our provider. If we don't look after our mother, then she can't look after us, because there's too much devastation and destruction. And so slowly, the awareness is coming back, and there's that strong inner knowing and impulse of true care of our Earth Mother. And it's deeper. It's a deeper, loving, respectful relationship than many in the West have had. It's just been a little bit lost or forgotten, but it's waking up. And using this festival, Lughnasadh or Imbolc, whatever it is, wherever you are, it's just a good pause point to reflect and assess where you are. So for me, it's looking from the summer solstice, what that journey of the last 6 weeks has looked like, those reflections, those dreams, visions, aspirations, and then slightly moving into that next turn of the wheel, moving in towards that time towards the autumn equinox. And even though we are right now in the heat of summer, it is in the room right now where I'm standing, it was a bit too noisy outside, it's 30 degrees. So it's still very hot, and we're feeling that grip of summer. However, there are tiny little indications that there's just a slight shift on the horizon. Dusk is a little bit sooner, and for me at home, the apples have just started falling. Very happy pigs, by the way. The grapes are ripening, and I've just started seeing, I'm just looking at our oak trees, and you can just see the slight tinges, the slight change in colour. And I was looking at them thinking, poor things, they're standing there in all their glory. Are you sunburnt a little bit, or are you beginning to change? So there's just these little subtle indications that there is a little shift going on. And you'll notice that in the north as well. It feels very cold. I can imagine it's midwinter. Well, not, it's more than midwinter, but it's cold. But there'll be the little tiny cues of you're getting a little bit more light. Maybe the first little snowdrops are trying to peek through. There's a little bit of that ice melt, snow melt if you're in a place where it snows. And it's quite a feeling of hope for you going into the return of that light. So we've got quite a few things going on. We've got the new moon, which is a time for reflecting on that lunar month that was, and an opportunity to look at the seeds that you previously planted, both actually in the ground and within your being, and how are they growing? Have you been nurturing them? Have they come to fruition, or do they need more nurturing or more seeds planted? So it's just a good pause point for that lunar calendar, just to check in and see, build on, that new energy, that new excitement. It feels more inspirational within these. It's an opportunity to go again. So I love working with that new moon energy for that reason. And yeah, it's great. But then when it aligns with Lughnasadh, which is a time of gratitude as well, and reflection, and in anticipation of the coming time, and really getting busy with the harvest. harvesting your crops, but harvesting the learnings and teachings and the growth, skills maybe. There's all of that that can come into being. And yeah, looking at what does that snake energy represent for you or mean for you. And I invite you to maybe reframe, relook at it. Often snakes have been given a bit of a bad rap over the time, and it's interesting when you go a bit deeper as to why that may be. So explore that, maybe sit with that. A good time to think and ponder and wonder. And I just wanted to briefly talk about the idea of reintegration when you've been in one particular place and then having to move into another, and if they're quite different. So for example, I was away for 8 days in ceremony, and 4 of those days was fasting. And so I was in a very different bubble, if you like. And then coming out of that space back into the world, it required me to be really conscious of that transition, to come into and not go straight into full, even mothering and everything. It was just a gradual honouring what I needed, that a bit more slow paced. And I was so grateful to be home and where I live and could just be amongst the trees and go into my garden and just be back with nature, which is where I'd been for the last 8 days. So it was a beautiful transition that I could gift myself to have with the support of my family, obviously. It felt smooth and didn't feel so jarring. I have done this in previous years, and due to my children being younger and for whatever reason, I felt like I was dropped back into life really quickly. And yeah, I felt like I was just literally on a different planet. So it's really important. That's kind of an extreme example perhaps, but you may be coming back from summer holidays where there's a bit more timelessness, where there's more, your children are waking up whenever and you're a bit more relaxed with eating and different things. I mean, with young children, you may well have had to have kept the same rhythm so that the wheels don't fully fall off, which I had to do when mine were younger. But it's more of a flow, but it's more freeing, and moving from that into more structure in the form of work, and then preparing for school or kindergarten or wherever your children go. It's a change. So you have to recalibrate, and there's a reintegration process and period. So another invitation is to give yourself that gift of space and grace as you move from one place, from the batch perhaps, back to your home or back into your work environment, because it is a transition and going in from different realms, it feels like, into another. So be kind and gentle with that for yourself. And if you're doing it for yourself, then your children will just join that flow of what you're doing. If it goes straight into rush and get up at 6:30 in the morning and whatever you're doing, it's jarring and it's not going to be as easy or easeful and graceful as it potentially could be. Just a few little ideas there, everyone, like working with the energies of what is around us right now. And if you tune into yourself and your connection to everything, to the above, the below, so our Mother Earth and our cosmos above, there's messages and indications, whispers everywhere. And we just have to take enough time the sacred pause, to tune in and to listen to these whispers of wisdom, because it's there. It's all there. Yeah, so just something for you to sit with. And to work with this, I'm going to be offering another round of the wheel turns, which I've decided will start next Thursday, the 30th of January. Thursday it'll be in the evening, and that's the day of our new moon. So I just thought, okay, new moon, let's come together, let's reflect, let's collectively plant our seeds and support one another in that process. So the wheel turns, it starts on next Thursday, 30th of January. Come and join us. It's online, Zoom. It's about an hour and a half. Generally a small group of women, and it's just a space, a sacred space where you can be really held and witnessed and guided through, a journey and exploration of using the current energy. So there's a little bit of learning, a little bit of journaling, some meditation, and always, always, always magical moments. So if that has piqued your curiosity a little bit, you want to know a little bit more, get in touch with me, you can comment below, or maria@parentingwithsoul.com, and I'd happily fill you in and give you some more details. And even if it's just you want to dip your toe in and think, what is this all about? Come along for the first session and just see. But let me know, and I'll give you more details. But regardless, have a most soul-filling week ahead. Next week, I'll be bringing to you a beautiful guest that I recently interviewed. She's just delightful, so beautiful. And also on that note, if you or someone you know feels they'd like to come and share their story on the show, then you'd be so welcome. Just let me know. It's not that scary. It's just you and I having a chat, basically. And there just happens to be a few other people in the ether listening in, but it's pretty relaxed, and you've got no idea how much your story will resonate with so many people. This is how we reweave our village and make these connections, because it makes you feel supported and heard, because many of us have experienced the same things, but we don't realize it. We think it was just us. Okay, I will leave you with that. Have a beautiful, soul-filling day, week ahead, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye.